there. Welcome to my first psycho video, because I don't only want to share my singing to encourage you to dare to fail and fall, to in the end grow and rise and shine. I also want to share a little bit of my knowledge as a psychologist. And the model I want to share with you today is about the how someone develops a mental disorder, how means when and which factors play a role. And it's actually quite interesting because there were in the beginning there were discussions and debates like, is it nature? Is it only our genes that actually say if we get a depression or not? Or is it nurture? So is it our environment that actually plays the biggest role and is responsible for if we get a depression or not? So it was a big debate if it's nature, genetics, and we can't do anything, or it's nurture, environment, and that plays the role in developing a depression. And this model that I want to share with you, it's a very general model which came originally from the developing of schizophrenia, but you can use it for actually any mental disorder. So it's very broad and it's multifactorial. So it says it's neither only nature nor only nurture, it's both. And it's called, I want to use a pen today, so let's see how this is happening. It's called Diathesis Stress Model. Diathesis Stress Model, which means that the model says that it's, on the one hand, it's nature, diathesis, vulnerability that plays a role. On the other hand, it's stress, the environmental factors that play a role for developing a mental disorder. So if we have three persons, person A, person B, and person C, then the model would say for everyone there is the same threshold. Let's take as an example depression. There is the same threshold for everyone. If person A, B, or C gets over the threshold, it would mean that it's very probable that one of them or this person gets a depression. So the model says, first factor, nature, diathesis, vulnerability. The vulnerability of the three persons can be very different. So let's say person A has a medium vulnerability, person B has a high vulnerability, and person C has a low vulnerability. Then it would mean that no one has to get a depression because of the nature. For nature, let's say the three biggest factors are actually genetics. So it means if you have a lot of people in your family tree, especially very close people like parents or siblings that in this example had a depression, then it's more probable that your genetic factors are leading to a higher vulnerability than for people where no one had a depression or anxiety disorder. This is the first important factor for the vulnerability. The second one is early life experiences like loss of a parent or traumatic experiences or emotional physical, sexual abuse would be a really big early life experience that would enhance the vulnerability. And the third factor, which is very logical, connected to the experience, is it depends on the experiences. We develop different mindsets. So we can have mindsets like I have to be perfect to be lovable or worthy, or I have to help others that suffer to be okay, to be loved, or I have to be always friendly. So this would be mindsets that would lead to a higher vulnerability, and so the baseline can be different in person A, person B, and person C because of the vulnerability. But this model says it's not only nature, it's the combination of nature and stress, nurture. And stress can be something like, okay, let's say they want to change the job. So they have medium stress because of changing the job. The last job was not that fulfilling anymore. They changed the job. And what we can see is that the same stress for the three people, let's say they would be in the same company, having the same job, would lose it in the same way with the same conversation with the boss, but still person B would get over the threshold and would be very probable to get a depression, while person A and C would be in the healthy area. So they would be still healthy in a way. So this shows why some people can not manage that much stress without getting depressed, while others can manage more stress. So person A can still manage more stress by caring for the parents. Let's say the mother gets dementia. Person A is still able to cope it. Person B gets even more depressed. Person C also able to cope it. Capable of it. And let's say now, because life sometimes it's really hard and it's not always only one stressful thing, let's say now there's also a breakup with a partner or a loss of a really beloved being in our life, then it's a really high thing. And now in this example, interestingly, all of them would get depressed, more or less. Probably this is a little bit lower, but more or less all of them would get over the threshold, and also people with a very low vulnerability in the first place can't cope with as much stress as infinite stress. There's still somehow a threshold where they develop a mental illness too, or a mental disorder. So here you could think about, if you are more like person A, B or C, what would you think about the factors that are important for the vulnerability, like genetics, like early life experiences, and your mindset and value system that you've learned from your parents. And second, what about what happened before you got depressed or developed the anxiety disorder or the somatic disorder or schizophrenia or whatever. So these are the two things that you can think about. And now there is a really positive, there are very positive news, because there's also a third factor. And the third factor is that there are also positive factors or protective factors, we call them, that can change this threshold much higher, so that it's not that probable to get a depression in our example, right? And protective factors, one of the most important protective factors actually positive social network. So having good relations that are reliable and where we feel understood and deep connections. So it's less how many people we know. It's more about really the quality of connection. And this is a little bit too high. I draw it here. But so we can change the threshold from here to here. And if we would enhance those resources, it can also be, resources means also that we know what we really love, what's good for us. Can be people on the first hand, the positive social network, but also activities, activities that bring us fulfillment, joy, that we really love to do, living according to our values. This is all resources. So if you love doing sport and you doing this, I don't know, once, twice, 3 times a week, it's a protective factor. If you love doing music, playing music, singing, meditating, whatever, mindfulness is a big protective factor too. And it's not only here, but also reduces the stress level. Other resources can be high self-esteem, the ability and skills also, like the ability to be able to say no, setting boundaries, the ability to ask for help. All this can be resources, protective factors, abilities and skills that can move the threshold much higher. So these are the 3 factors that are really interesting for, I don't know, thinking about why did I get the depression at that point in my life, because sometimes it's really late in life. You lived, I don't know, 55 years and everything went all right, and then you get depressed and you ask yourself, why at this point in time, what happened? And this is one model where you can think about, okay, what about the vulnerability? What about the stress? Maybe a situation changed and it was much more stressful for you to live now. I know the children moved out, and now you had to, you were confronted with actually the not that good relationship anymore with your partner. So there were a lot of conflicts, and so maybe this, and then your mother got ill, and so it changed and you got over the threshold, and maybe you didn't have that many protective factors, so maybe the threshold was somewhere here. This is the first part why I wanted to show you this model. The second part is why or where psychotherapy actually works, or why psychotherapy works or can work. And the reason is, and it's really nice to show it in this example, psychotherapy can have a positive impact on the vulnerability because we can change the mindset. We can have a positive correcting positive experience with our psychotherapist, and later on we can widen up this positive experience with other people. For example, we can learn that we are loved not by everyone, but by certain people, even though we are not always friendly, even though we sometimes set boundaries, even though we are not always bringing 100%, because otherwise we just get burned out. So we can change our mindset and our value systems. We can also learn to discover another way to cope with stress. So we can learn first to ask for help, that we don't have to manage everything by ourselves. This would reduce, so first the mindset, changing the mindset can change the vulnerability. If we learn to say no, or if we learn to ask others for support, we can change the stress level because we don't have to do everything. We can also change the stress level by learning to be more mindful and to breathe and to being more grounded. And we can also learn to change the stress level to actually think about if we can postpone some stressful life events. So I know it's for sure it's not always possible, but some stressful life events are possible. For example, changing the job. If you already know, okay, I will marry this year, I will get a child this year, and I don't know, maybe we will change the flat. Then this are maybe 3 wonderful life events, right? Because it's a wonderful change to be married with a woman or man you really love. It's wonderful to get your first child, and it's wonderful to create the new home for all 3 of you. But still, if you actually this change, every change in life actually means that you have to put energy into this adaptation process. So every change in life, even if it's positive, it's still a little bit of stress. So if you already know, okay, I'm marrying, I'm getting a child, and we are moving into another flat, then you should think about if you really should change the job in this year too. Maybe you can postpone it 1 or 2 years, so you can reduce the stress also by postponing maybe an event, if it's possible. I know often it's not possible, unfortunately. And the third thing where we can learn something or develop something positive or have a positive impact is to build up positive resources, to learn skills, abilities, and I think you already realize that those 3 are coming together. So if you have a higher self-esteem, which is a, protective factor, you probably have a different mindset and don't think that I'm only worthy but if I'm always perfect, you probably think I'm worthy no matter what happens, or something like that, if you have a really good mindset, just because I am. And so the vulnerability would be lower, the self-esteem would be higher, and you would probably take yourself serious and would set boundaries and would feel worthy enough to say no at certain points in time. So they all really are connected and are not totally independent, but still you can see, or I hope you can see a little bit where psychotherapy can work or have a positive impact. This was actually what I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed the video, or it could help you in a way. And if so, I would really love if you give me a comment or give me a like, or maybe both, because it's kind of really strange to just send the video out in the world and not knowing what other people think and what's happening with it. So if you think it's somehow helpful for you, I would really love to get a little bit of feedback. Also, if you actually have a comment like a improvement, or if you disagree at a point, actually just really let's be a community and let's share and discuss and just enrich our lives. That would be really wonderful. Yes. So have a wonderful evening or day whenever you listen to this video, and see you soon. Bye bye.